With that, I'll introduce our General Manager, Robb Whitaker. General Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you for all being here today. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day and come here about what we've been working on for the past year. We've always appreciated your involvement in our activities and look forward to your continued interest and involvement. After 3 years of below average rainfall, last year we finally had an average rainfall year, meaning that the amount of rainfall that fell met our long-term average, meaning that the amount of stormwater that we normally depend upon was about average. The problem is that one average year doesn't make up for long-term drought. We're looking at La Nina predictions for this next stormwater year, which means that we're going to have a drier than normal year yet again. It means that we have to keep looking at developing local resources to make up for both losses of imported water supplies and stormwater conditions that will require more proactive and creative ways of capturing it and conserving it into the groundwater basin. So basically, in a nutshell, 1 year of normal rainfall doesn't end the cycle of chronic drought that we've seen both locally and statewide. The state has seen normal or above normal precipitation in only 11 of the last 30 years. So almost a third of the years have been normal or above normal, meaning that 2/3 of the time were below normal. And that's for the last 30 years. Historically, water planners in the state have assumed average rainfall for 6 or 7 out of 10 years. And now they're looking at 3 out of 10 years. And that means, again, that we have to better develop our local resources to offset the impacts of both imported water cutbacks and also climate change. Deliveries of imported water from Northern California and the Colorado River to our area continue to be curtailed due to a combination of drought and judicial rulings. Plans to restore the ecosystem in the bay will result in permanent curtailment of supplies in Southern California, and that's just a fact we have to face. The imported seasonal water that WRD has relied upon, and that's a heavily discounted water that we've relied on for 47 years, hasn't been available to us for 3 years. So President Calderon mentioned that we turned 50 recently. For almost our entire history, we've relied on this seasonal imported water supply that now hasn't been available for 3 years, and we don't know if it'll ever become available again in our discussions with the Metropolitan Water District. And if it becomes available, it's not going to be as reliable as we've seen in the past. And I think we can rest assured that we won't see the same sort of discount that we've seen in the past compared to other water sources or other imported water sources. The result of the confluence of all these factors has resulted in an unprecedented impact to WRD's budget for this current fiscal year. The district was forced to account for more expensive replenishment water because we didn't have the cheaper water available. We did outreach to the pumping community. We talked to our technical advisory committee, which is a group of representative pumpers, and we discussed the need to go to the more expensive Tier 1 or firm demand water. And we got input from the TAC and other pumpers saying, we don't like the rate increases, but we've got to bite the bullet and do it. We've got to secure a water supply so that the basins don't continue to drop. So we were forced to account for the more expensive replenishment water, and we saw that in our rate this year. We had 5 public workshops to discuss that issue, and we received a lot of good input. And we continue to have that same transparency in our budget processes from now on. So for planning purposes, the development of these curtailments and changes in our climate mean 2 things. We need to develop more recycled water and stormwater capture locally, provide for an alternative to imported water cutbacks. We need to completely replace the imported water that we've had historically. We're going to continue to see reliability issues and cost impacts. If we can develop our local supplies of water, we're going to greatly increase our reliability of our groundwater supply to see cost stabilizations because of the funding that would be associated with those projects, and being able to fund those projects over a longer period instead of relying on an imported water rate that we've seen increase by more than 8% per year on average over the last 50 years. We need to develop a legally certain framework for groundwater banking to take advantage of the significant storage space in our basins. That storage space continues to be unused. It's almost 500,000 acre-feet. And when we can start tapping into that, we can start to assure the future viability of our water supply. We need to start using that storage. We haven't agreed as a group of water industry members how to do that. We've been in court talking about that. There were 11 court hearings just this past year on this issue, and the issue is in appeal by both sides on different facets of this, but without the legal certainty to address the storage, we're not going to be available to get state funding. The state's not going to send funding our way unless we have the legal ability to store water in the ground. And people aren't going to invest money in those facilities unless they know they have the legal certainty that whatever water they put in the ground, they're going to be able to pump it out and it's going to come over that. So we'll continue to work on that. We hope that we'll have some resolution of that in 2011. The appeal process will hopefully conclude by then, and we'll know one way or another what our approach is going to be on storage. The district started moving away from our reliance on imported water almost from our outset. As President Calderon mentioned, we were at one time the largest user of imported water in the metropolitan service area. But starting in the early 60s, we started to use recycled water. In fact, in partnership with the LA County Flood Control District and the LA County Sanitation Districts, we pioneered the use of recycled water for groundwater replenishment. And that started in 1962. And we have been able to steadily and safely increase the use of that water to the point now where we make up almost a third of our, or more than a third of our water use for replenishment in the northern part of our basin is recycled water. And we're looking to increase that amount as well. In 1995, the district, in partnership with the West Basin Municipal Water District, who built a project, an advanced treatment project, together we pioneered the use of recycled water for injection into the coastal aquifers to protect against seawater intrusion. And that agency has steadily expanded that project in partnership with us. And we look forward to soon being able to provide 100% of the water supply of that larger of the three barrier systems with advanced treated recycled water. That'll pave the way for the other two barrier systems to become 100% recycled as well. Further developing or further eliminating our dependence on imported water and developing local sustainability of our groundwater supply. Keep in mind, when I talk about local sustainability of our groundwater supply makes up 40% of the total water demand in our area on average. Some cities use it to make up 100% of their water supply. So to the degree that we can develop totally locally sustainable groundwater replenishment resources, that means that 40% of the supply is independent of what's going on in the Bay Delta and the Colorado River. As President Calderon mentioned, the institutional arrangement and alternatives analysis work for the Groundwater Reliability Improvement Program are underway this year, starting this past